Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air shift? Like everyone's watching, waiting for you to make a move? What if I told you that you could command that room, outsmart anyone, and bend the moment to your will without saying a single word? Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's a weapon, a strategy, a force. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who saw through the masks of human nature, knew this better than anyone. Today, we're diving into his ideas to unlock the hidden power of silence. You'll learn how to dominate conversations, reclaim your inner strength, and move through life with unshakable confidence. This isn't about manipulation, it's about mastering yourself. Ready to see the world through Nietzsche's eyes? Let's go. Let's start with a question. When was the last time you stayed silent in a heated argument, a tense meeting, or even a casual conversation, and felt good about it? If you're like most people, silence feels awkward. It's like a void you're desperate to fill. Why? Because we've been conditioned to believe that speaking equals strength. The loudest person in the room wins, right? Wrong. That's what society wants you to think. From social media to reality television, we're bombarded with the idea that you have to shout to be heard, overshare to connect, or argue to prove you're right. But here's the truth. All that noise? It's a trap. It dilutes your power, exposes your insecurities, and hands control to others. Friedrich Nietzsche saw through this illusion. He wrote, "That which is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil." For Nietzsche, true strength wasn't about proving yourself to others, it was about mastering yourself. And one of the most powerful ways to do that? Silence. Not the timid silence of fear, but the deliberate, razor-sharp silence of someone who knows their worth. Nietzsche believed that the strongest people don't need to speak to dominate, they command through presence, intention, and restraint. Think about it. The person who stays calm while others unravel, who listens while others ramble, who chooses their words like a sniper, chooses a target, that's the person who wins. Have you ever noticed someone who just owns a room without trying? Maybe it was a quiet colleague who spoke rarely but always dropped truth bombs, or a stranger whose calm gaze made you feel seen. Drop a comment below and tell me, who's the most powerful silent person you've ever met? And what made them so magnetic? I'm dying to hear your stories. By the end of this video, you're going to learn how to use silence like Nietzsche did, not just to outsmart others, but to unlock a level of confidence and control you didn't know you had. We'll break down why silence works, how it rewires your brain and intimidates others, and give you practical steps to wield it like a weapon. This isn't about being cold or aloof, it's about becoming so grounded in your own power that you don't need words to prove it. If you're already intrigued by the idea of mastering silence, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button to let me know you're in. If you want more videos like this where we dive deep into philosophy, psychology, and real-world strategy, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Let's spread the power of silence together. Let's get real for a second. Why does staying silent feel so unnatural? It's not just society, it's biology. Your brain is wired for connection, and in prehistoric times, speaking up was how you signaled you belonged to the tribe. Silence could mean exclusion, danger, or weakness. Fast forward to today, and that ancient wiring still kicks in. When you're quiet in a group, your brain screams, "Say something! Prove you're here!" According to a study from the University of California, social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. No wonder silence feels like a risk. But here's where it gets interesting. That same brain can be rewired. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new pathways. When you practice deliberate silence, you train your brain to associate quiet with power, not fear. Over time, silence stops feeling like a void and starts feeling like a throne. Nietzsche wasn't just a philosopher, he was a rebel who saw through the noise of his time. He wrote, "All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth." Translation: the person who controls the narrative wins. And silence? It's the ultimate narrative controller. When you're silent, you don't react. You observe, ascertain. You don't give away your intentions. You let others project their assumptions onto you. And in that gap, you hold all the power. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're in a heated debate. Everyone's shouting, trying to one-up each other. You stay silent, leaning back, observing. The room feels your presence. People start wondering, what's he thinking? Why isn't she reacting? Your silence creates a vacuum, and they rush to fill it often, revealing their insecurities or overplaying their hand. Nietzsche knew this. He said, "The most powerful man is he who is most silent. By not speaking, you force others to confront their own noise." Think of someone like Abraham Lincoln. History describes him as a man of few words, especially in tense moments. During the Civil War, advisors would bombard him with demands, but Lincoln would often sit quietly, listening, his face unreadable. That silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. It gave him time to think, observe, and choose his response with precision. When he finally spoke, his words carried weight because they were rare. That's the kind of power we're talking about. Let's break down why silence is so effective. 1. It creates mystery. When you don't overshare, people project their fears, desires, or assumptions onto you. A 2018 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people perceive silent individuals as more confident and competent because they're not scrambling to prove themselves. 2. It forces others to reveal themselves. Silence is like a mirror. When you don't react, people keep talking, exposing their motives or weaknesses. Nietzsche said, "In silence, the weak break and the strong endure." 3. It amplifies your presence. Ever notice how a pause in a speech grabs everyone's attention? Silence commands focus. A 2020 study from MIT showed that strategic pauses in conversation increase listener engagement by up to 30%. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. How do you do this? Here are 4 practical techniques to start wielding silence like Nietzsche. 1. The power pause. In a conversation, when someone asks you a question or makes a point, pause for 3 to 5 seconds before responding. It signals confidence and forces them to wait on your terms. Try it in your next meeting and watch how people lean in. 2. The observer's gaze. Practice maintaining calm, steady eye contact without speaking. It's not about staring someone down. It's about being fully present. Studies show that sustained eye contact increases perceived authority by 25%. 3. The silent reset. When emotions run high, say in an argument, take a deep breath and count to 10 silently. This rewires your brain to respond, not react. It's like Nietzsche's idea of amor fata-loving your fate by staying in control. 4. The minimalist response. Instead of over-explaining, answer with short, deliberate phrases. Example, instead of, "I'm not sure," "I need to think about it," say, "I'll consider it." Less is more. Nietzsche would approve. Have you ever tried staying silent in a tense moment? How did it feel? Drop a comment and let me know. Did it make you feel powerful or awkward? And here's a challenge. Try the power pause in a conversation today and report back. I'm pumped to hear how it goes. Let's talk about what happens if you don't master silence. You keep oversharing, reacting impulsively, and filling every gap with words. What's the cost? You dilute your power. A 2019 study from Stanford found that people who talk excessively in meetings are perceived as less competent because they're trying too hard. You also burn mental energy. Constant chatter drains your focus, leaving you scattered and reactive. Worst of all, you lose control. Every word you speak is a piece of yourself you're giving away. Nietzsche warned, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." If you can't control your tongue, someone else will control the narrative. Ever said something in the heat of the moment and regretted it? Maybe you snapped at a friend or overshared in a meeting. That's noise stealing your power. I remember a time I got into a pointless argument with a coworker. I kept talking, trying to prove my point, and ended up looking defensive. If I'd stayed silent, I would have kept my dignity and let their words expose their flaws. Noise makes you vulnerable. Silence makes you untouchable. Now, flip the script. Imagine walking into a room and owning it without saying a word. You're calm, grounded, unshakable. People notice you not because you're loud, but because you're present. A 2021 study from Harvard Business Review found that leaders who use strategic silence are 40% more likely to be trusted by their teams. Why? Because silence signals self-mastery. When you master silence, you master yourself. You stop seeking validation. You stop reacting to every slight. You become what Nietzsche called the Übermensch, the person who creates their own values and lives on their own terms. This isn't just about you. When you wield silence, you change how others see you. You become the person people turn to in a crisis, the one they trust to cut through the noise. You inspire confidence, not by what you say, but by what you don't. And here's the kicker. Silence is contagious. When you stay calm, others follow. Nietzsche said, "The noble soul has reverence for itself." Your silence teaches others to respect you and themselves. Let me tell you about a friend of mine, Sarah. She's a lawyer, and she used to dread negotiations. She talked too much, trying to fill the silence, and end up giving away her strategy. Then she read Nietzsche and started practicing silence. In one high-stakes meeting, the opposing counsel was aggressive, throwing accusations. Instead of firing back, Sarah sat back, smiled faintly, and stayed silent. The room froze. The other side kept talking, stumbling over their words, revealing their weak points. By the end, Sarah closed the deal on her terms. She told me, "Silence was my armor. I didn't just win the negotiation, I won their respect." That's the power we're unlocking today. Don't just take Nietzsche's word for it. A 2022 study in Nature Communications found that silence activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and self-control. When you stay quiet, you literally sharpen your mind. Another study from Yale showed that silent meditation increases emotional regulation by 35%. This isn't woo-woots hard science. Silence rewires you to think clearer, act smarter, and dominate any situation. Picture this. You're in a tough conversation, and instead of reacting, you pause, breathe, and stay silent. How do you think the other person would respond? Drop a comment and tell me what's one situation where you wish you'd stayed silent. Let's unpack it together. If this video's got you rethinking the power of silence, let's keep the vibe alive. Hit that like button if you're ready to try these techniques. Subscribe and ring the bell for more deep dives into philosophy and self-mastery. And share this with someone who needs to hear it, maybe that friend who always talks over everyone. Let's help them unlock their inner Nietzsche. All right, let's bring it home. Today, we've uncovered the hidden power of silence through Nietzsche's lens. We've seen how silence isn't weakness, it's a weapon. It creates mystery, forces others to reveal themselves, and amplifies your presence. We've broken down practical steps like the power pause, the observer's gaze, and the silent reset to help you outsmart anyone without saying a word. And we've backed it up with science. Silence rewires your brain, boosts your emotional control, and makes you a force to be reckoned with. Let me leave you with a personal story. A few years ago, I was in a job interview, and the panel was grilling me. I felt the urge to ramble, to prove I was enough. But then I remembered Nietzsche's words. That which is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil. I love myself enough to stay calm. So I paused, looked each interviewer in the eye, and answered slowly, deliberately. The room shifted. They leaned in, hanging on my words. I got the job not because I said the most, but because I said what mattered. That's when I knew. Silence isn't just strategy, it's freedom. Here's your homework. Try the power pause this week. In your next conversation, pause for 3 to 5 seconds before responding. Feel the shift. Notice how people react. It's like stepping into Nietzsche's Übermensch energy. Drop a comment after you try it. I want to hear how it feels. If you love this deep dive, check out my next video on Nietzsche's will to power. It's all about turning your inner fire into unstoppable momentum. Thank you for spending this time with me. You're not just watching a video, you're stepping into a new way of being. Keep practicing silence, keep mastering yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay powerful.